Hi everyone, thanks for coming to today's event. The reason why I'm here today, most of you here today, is of course to know more about what Ordinals was about, what is it good for, what's the use case, how is it correlating together side by side with NFTs, right? And one thing as well, for myself, a quick introduction, I've been in the space since 2016, mainly in DeFi. Got into Ordinals early this year, found Ordinals really amazing, a lot of use case for it as well. There's a lot of differentiation between Ordinals and NFTs. And my role in this space is to just grow Ordinals, to educate people what are the next steps for Ordinals, what is Ordinals, and like I said, mentioned earlier, what is used for in the future. Right, so that's why I did a meetup in Singapore as well. There's going to be a meetup in Malaysia. Today is the first ever Ordinals Meetup in Vietnam. Thank you for coming again. And there will be more meetups going on and on just to educate people what is Ordinals and how is it different and what's its use case. So without further ado, I would like to just have a very short keynote about who I am, what Ordinals is all about, what I'm building, and what's happening as well later on in Singapore, one of the biggest Ordinals events this year. So let's kick off with the understatement of what is Bitcoin ordinals and why does it matter, right? So to understand ordinals itself, you need to date back 10 years ago, right? So ordinals is not something new at all. Everybody thought that ordinals just started this year, but no. Ordinals started in 27 March 2012 when Yoni Asia, Manny Rosenfeld, Vitalik, and some others worked on colored coins. So colored coins back then was the earliest definition of asset tokenization on the Bitcoin space. And Yoni, who is the founder of eToro, and of course you guys know Vitalik, they work on writing papers, documentations on what is colored coins. However, there are certain limitations, right, to colored coins. So, but people still work on colored coins to see how you can improve colored coins to be what it is. However, it couldn't really materialize because there's no smart contracts. That's where Vitalik actually come and build smart contracts, right? So fast forward to 2021, 12 June 2021, when Taproot upgrade kicks in the Bitcoin space, it changed the whole ballgame of how you see Bitcoin is right now. We see Bitcoin back then as non-flexible, there's not much you can build on, but with the Taproot upgrade itself, Bitcoin protocol became more flexible by eliminating data storage caps in Bitcoin, right, in the blocks. So this implementation kind of sets the stage for the creation of what is we call Bitcoin ordinals today. And then 2022 Feb, Casey wrote an article about ordinals number draft. It wasn't even an ordinals theory back then, it's just a draft. And then he worked on it, he posts more about what ordinal numbers, about ordinals sequencing, the numbers of blocks that you can do in the chain. And then fast forward to 2023, Ordinals protocol was born. So if you guys think that Ordinals is new, it's actually not. It is, like I said, the history falls back from way back 2012, right? And to be honest, what is Bitcoin Ordinals? It is a system, right? It is a numbering of Satoshis. So one Satoshi can be numbered in a sequential manner. That's what Casey did. That's what Ordinals means. Giving each Satoshi a serial number and tracking them across. So this kind of make each Satoshi unique, and this kind of make people to be more creative, to be able to use Satoshi in a different manner from what they have not seen in the past. Right? So Ordinals allow users to make individual Satoshi unique by extracting data to them. Right? This process is also known as inscriptions. So inscription is the key factor that drives all these Ordinals concept, right? So Bitcoin ordinals, I just want to tell you guys something. It's not NFT. So I know a lot of people say it's Bitcoin NFT, Bitcoin NFT, Bitcoin NFT, right? I would like to kind of say it's not Bitcoin NFT, but instead it's either you should represent it as Bitcoin ordinals or digital artifacts. The reason why it's called digital artifacts, very simple. For artifacts that has been produced all over the years, all these archaeologists, they dig up, they found artifacts that stood through time, like thousands of years, tens and thousands of years. Artifacts like dinosaur bones are millions of years. They stood through time. Bitcoin since 2008 stood through time to be what it is right now. And when you inscribe an image, a text, an audio file, or anything into a Bitcoin, into a Satoshi, it will be in Satoshi forever. It will be in Bitcoin network forever. It is on chain. So that is a difference. Unlike NFTs, which is, again, an amazing platform for builders to build as well. But the difference is NFTs relies on smart contract. The image is IPFS, right? They call it a blockchain data, right? Which is different. How can it stood through time? If the smart contract don't break, it can stood through time as well. But for Bitcoin, it's simple. Once something is inside the Bitcoin space, inscribed, it is immutable. So that's why in the Bitcoin space, Ordinals is different and is immutable, decentralized, and secure. I mean, Bitcoin is secure by itself. So NFT and Ordinals, what's the difference? I guess a lot of people always ask me this question. What's the difference between NFT and Ordinals in terms of the tech, in terms of how it works and stuff like that? So just to share more, to understand how Ordinals, what the key differences is to first understand the fact that Ordinals inscription happens directly on the Bitcoin blockchain is the key to understanding the difference between Ordinals and NFTs. As I mentioned earlier, NFTs, when someone to deploy NFTs, right, the image goes into IPFS, the source code goes into a smart contract, and that goes on chain. For Bitcoin, every inscription goes on chain by itself. So not all NFT, I know there are some NFT projects that like on-chain monkeys, back then they did on-chain Ethereum itself, but not all NFT are purely on-chain. To qualify as on-chain, right, what does it mean to be on-chain? The whole steps of the process, the owning of the item, the image, the text, or the NFTs has to be on-chain, right? But sadly in the NFT space, the content is not on the blockchain but also in IPFS, and NFT can be changed. When you say something is immutable, that means it cannot be changed, cannot be deleted, cannot be destroyed. That's what artifacts is all about, right? But NFTs, a project can actually just work on the NFTs that they launch. They can change the image, they can change the text, they can change the resolution. Like for example, Azuki Elementals, right? Recently, they wanted to change the image, the background, the rest. That shows that they actually can have the power to just do anything they want in NFTs, but they just choose it to be a DAO. So that's the whole difference between what NFTs and Ordinals is all about, right? The ability to change an NFT's metadata at any time, to be honest, has caused many issues. And then for Ordinals, the data is inscribed into a Satoshi, right? Files are actually stored within the witness signature field or the Bitcoin transaction directly. This means it cannot be altered, changed, or destroyed. So in short, Ordinals inscriptions have the initial benefit of being immutable, decentralized, and it just lies down on the blockchain network. So that is a big difference between NFTs and Ordinals. But in terms of the use case for what is Bitcoin, Ordinals, and NFTs itself, each has its own pros and cons. What is it used for? What is it good for? What is it bad for? What is it not? Right? So I just want to quickly touch on this part. So if you guys look at NFT versus Ordinals, right? The NFTs, let's talk about Ethereum. The biggest NFTs in space right now is of course Ethereum. And of course Bitcoin Ordinals, there's only Bitcoin Ordinals. In terms of immutability, NFTs do not have immutability. Bitcoin has. Ordinals have. Storage. NFT does off-chain storage, like I mentioned, through IPFS. Bitcoin Ordinals does on-chain. Security. Ethereum is pretty good, security. Ever since they moved to proof of stake, there were some things happens, but it's still pretty strong. So I call it like okay. But of course, for Bitcoin security, come on, it's Bitcoin, right? It's the best blockchain security there is in the space. Interoperability in terms of NFTs, it is yes. For NFTs, the problem with Bitcoin is due to the Bitcoin system, it's very hard for it to scale. It's very hard for it to be on different chains. Unless you talk about Litecoin, Dogecoin, yes, under the UTXO protocol you can. But for NFTs like Ethereum, it can be swapped to different kind of EVM layers and stuff like that. In terms of simplicity, Bitcoin Ordinals is so much simpler. I like to stress on this part is because if you talk about simplicity, right, Bitcoin Ordinals plays a big role in pushing up Web 2 users to Web 3, Web 2 artists to Web 3. The reason is for Web 2 artists, they are not coders, for example. They don't know how to interact with smart contract. They don't know how to build smart contract. They don't know how to deploy this in IPFS. So how are they gonna build NFTs if they don't know such things? They have to use third-degree platforms. They have to hire people to help them build smart contracts. They are so used to drawing, putting it up gallery, and sell. That's it. That's where simplicity of Bitcoin Ordinals give that play, that movement to drive Web2 artists to the Web3 space. Because for Ordinals, it's the same. You draw, you inscribe, you sell. There's no smart contract. You don't need to know coding. You don't need to make sure that everything breaks because Bitcoin, the only time it breaks is Bitcoin breaks. So that is simplicity for Bitcoin. But the problem with Bitcoin Ordinals is royalties. Since there's no smart contract applications in Bitcoin, it's very hard to deploy royalties. All the royalties out there that you see in the Ordinals platforms are all centralized royalty within its own platform. And then scalability, like I mentioned earlier, is so much easier to scale with NFTs because they're smart contract, but it's really hard to scale with Bitcoin. But that itself is a really good thing because there are more people getting more creative in building ways to expand Bitcoin like how NFT expanded. So to share more on terms of how this space is growing, right? For myself, I am from Odza. I'm Ordinals Bazaar, where I am creating a place for artists and collection to be able to safely build, sell, and trade Ordinals in my platform for free. Zero platform fees, meaning whatever you sell, you get 100% profit. The reason I built this platform is to tell people that we are Bitcoin itself. When Satoshi created Bitcoin, right, he envisioned to have no middleman, to cut off any middleman. So that's why I created this platform, a safe haven, on-chain platform where everyone can work their artwork and sell for free. We don't take any cut, right? So how are we different? On-chain and secure because it's Bitcoin. Permissionless, you can just go in and sell without any need of permission to sell. Seamless UI experience, you can try to go to Odza.com and try. Zero platform fees, on-chain provenance, and user pay a mint. I want to stress more about on-chain provenance and user pay a mint because in general for Ordinal space, there's no smart contract. So how do you track that the collection comes from the same tree, so the same collection? In Ethereum NFTs, there's contract address where you can prove that this artwork comes from the same contract address. But in Bitcoin, there's no such thing. But what is amazing is that my team has developed an on-chain provenance for Bitcoin using a wallet address of the creators to link all the images to be under that wallet address. And then in terms of number 6, user payment mint, Ordinals, when it first started, creators spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars inscribing Ordinals and selling, not knowing whether they can sell out. What I've built in the infra side as well is user payment mint to bring the NFT experience into Bitcoin. Meaning, in NFTs, the artist or collection can just focus on building artworks and just put it on IPFS and people mint, they pay the network fees, they receive it. But not in Bitcoin. So I brought that whole framework into Bitcoin where artists can now focus on building artwork in the Ordinal space, use our platform, store all your images into metadata, and then user that likes your artwork, they can mint and they are the one that pay for the inscription fees. So that is the infra site that we are trying to build. It's open source. All these are free for anyone to use. Because in the Bitcoin space, it's 7 years behind Ethereum space in terms of building culture. So what my team is building is protocols that can support anyone that want to use. So for artists and collections, the launchpad is live now, and our secondary marketplace is going to launch next week. And that is, do check it out. My platform is free for anyone to use. And lastly, if you guys want to know deeper about what Ordinals is all about, want to talk about the real players in the game, to want to meet real champions, there's going to be Ordinal Summit in Singapore on the 12th of September. If you guys are going to come to Singapore for F1 or for Token 2049, on 12th of September in Singapore, there will be the first ever biggest Ordinal Summit conference in Asia or in the world, because we have people from Taproot Wizards, Domo, the creator of BRC20 protocol, and more people coming in. Charlie, shout out, bro. Shout out. Yes, Charlie from Ordinals Council, right? And we have Ralph, who is from the Ordinals protocol themselves. We have more and more speakers coming, all set up. And these are the people that push Ordinals globally. And last not least, since this is a nice place, whoever want to buy ticket or come, we have a 50% off for all passes tickets for everyone for you. Thank you.
Hello.
If you guys have any questions, we can hang out and chill after everything and just ask me as much as you want.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Noah, for the insightful keynote. So now is a short Q&A section for him. So if you guys have any questions about Ordinals or others or about the Ordinals Summit in Singapore, feel free to ask, and our speaker right here will answer for you guys. So just raise your hand if you have any questions. Anyone have any questions?
Don't be shy. Come on.
Yeah.
Whoever asks me questions and a good one, I'll give free Ordinals.
Okay. We have one question.
Really for you.
I just want to know, what do you think about the future development of Ordinals in the next 2 to 3 years?
So that's a very good question. So Ordinals itself, right? I did not cover much about the use case because I want it to be more of a question interaction with you guys. So for Ordinals and NFTs, people always, certain times people compete saying that Ordinals is better than NFTs, while NFTs is better than Ordinals. That's not true. NFTs and Ordinals should work side by side. NFTs is the place where people can do fun artwork in a fast pace, right? It's fast, it's cheap, and you can, in terms of the size, you can have a bigger size. For Bitcoin Ordinals, it's different. There are limitations to it. For example, the size has to be less than 4 megabytes because that's what the block is. It's really slow. The artwork, unless you use recursive, it can be really 8-bit style. But the future of Ordinals, what we see right now, is a pathway for the future, meaning Ordinals for Bitcoin Layer 1 Ordinals is going to be used for $1 billion worth of concepts or cultural art history storage. It's going to be a storage that can be there forever and ever. For example, let's say a government have multiple cultural arts that they want to preserve. They are afraid that the country is going to get attacked or bombed, right? And this cultural art get destroyed. So they can actually preserve this by having all these images or cultural art into Ordinals, and it's there for life. You cannot store such things in NFTs because if they get bombed, the infrastructure died, the smart contract died, that's it, right? But that's the use case for Ordinals in the future. It meant even for $1 billion contract. Let's say someone there's a deal, $1 billion contract deal. They want to make sure the contract don't die off. They cannot store it in some centralized database. It can get hacked. You store it in Ordinals. So that is the use case for Ordinals, which is a bit more different. It's for the finer things in art. It's for the Mona Lisa art. It's for the, whatever, right? That people can preserve because of war or whatever. For NFTs, it's a place where it's meant for people to actually do quick transaction, fun, make beautiful artwork for the streets and stuff like that. So that is how I foresee Ordinals to be used in the future. Because we have 21 quadrillion sets and it's limited, it's scarce. So that is something to use for.
Thank you.
One for you.
Thank you for a great question. So, okay, we have another question over here.
Another Ordinals, I guess.
Thanks. Hi, Ignacio. I want to ask in terms of you say that this is going to be the future and all this. Is there any studio or partners that we should do or work with for the Ordinals? Because I know it's you're supposed to be immutable and all this? Is there like a trusted agency or studio that we should talk to or work with? Just curious.
I mean, at this point, all this is really new, right? To know what can be trusted or not, we never know. A lot of projects are building in Ordinals. Even for myself, I came from DeFi, man. I came from 7 years of DeFi, coming to Ordinals to build something really cool because I want Bitcoin to grow. To work with a studio, I got no answer for that. You have to do your own DYOR. I do not want to share anything, but if you are an artist or collection, you want to try out things in a safe space for free, you can try out my platform, Odza. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Let's go, come on.
Okay, hi. So my question for you is that it's a bit technical, but because you said that the NFTs on, say, Ethereum is not immutable, because yes, the metadata we store on IPFS can be changed. I agree, but also for Ordinals, because the Bitcoin nodes are not required to store all the data. I mean, like the Ordinals, the data about the Ordinals, the inscriptions can be pruned from the node. So I mean, like, do you think it's a limitation of the immutability of Ordinals? Because, like, if, say, yeah, it's not possible, 100% possible, but like if all nodes are on consensus about like pruning the SegWit that contains your data, that means the Ordinals you hold will be gone too. What do you think about that?
In terms of pruning a data, even before Ordinals, there were already nodes, people do pruning and stuff, right? But it requires a huge amount of consensus by the miners and by the whole concept, right? So yes, it kind of figures out whether is it really truly mutable, it can be put out, but it's not controlled or governed by one project. It is governed by multiple nodes. It has to be approved by multiple nodes. So and for example, if someone hates this project and he runs a node and he wants to prune it, he has to seek permission from multiple nodes to prune it. And to be able to do that is really rare. The only time all the nodes agree to a change in the space is when the Tableau upgrade, right, in 2021. Before that, it's very hard for you to convince different nodes. So at this point, I should say it's still the barrier to prune something is really, 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 really high in Bitcoin compared to Ethereum or NFTs, where the barrier is just the founder wants to change. That is the difference. Thank you. Yes, sure, bro.
All right, again, I'm just curious, like for Odza, are you going to have launch of Odza tokens to facilitate the future ecosystem and like means of payment?
No comments. All I can say is Odza is built for the community, for the artists. It's zero platform fees, it's on chain, and my vision, me and David, we are co-founders, our vision is to let go Odza, to let the community run. It's like a bazaar, right? A bazaar is not controlled by anyone. It's just a bunch of gypsies or people coming in, setting up tents and grow. That's what my vision for Odza is. People P2P, people connect and stuff like that. In terms of governing whether we are token or not, I don't know, to be honest. Never thought of it. Again, no comments.
Good. Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate it.